welcome to Pod Against the Machine, or rather, whatever you call the thing that comes before Pod Against the Machine. I'm Sam, your host and GM, and I'm here with Zach, one of the players on the show. Zach, why don't you introduce yourself?
Howdy, everybody. I'm Zach. I play Brixbi Renttail on our fantastic Pod Against the Machine podcast, Iron God's actual play playthrough. I think this would be qualified as a pre-pod, Sam.
That sounds more eloquent than what I said. But most things do sound more eloquent than what I say. So why don't you tell us who it is you're playing on the show?
Yeah, I play Brixbi Renttail. He is a rat folk, or Yosoki, as they would self-describe. He is from Chitterhome, which is in the northwest portion of Numeria. Although he spent a lot of his time on the Selin and the Seven-Tier rivers, sort of working with ships, working with salvage operations. He makes money by salvage, and, well, he's just a fun guy to have around.
Now, salvage in Numeria, where we're going to be playing, is a little bit different from where it would be in other parts of Galarian, because Numeria happens to be littered with some pretty unique ruins. You say a little bit about what it is that Brixbi goes searching for?
Well, Brixbi, like a large variety of people inside Numeria, prizes what is called sky metals, which are various metals that are speckled about the nation of Numeria. Their origin, there's a consensus that they did come from the sky, but beyond that, people have different ideas of where they possibly came from. What everyone does agree on, though, is that they're valuable. And that's what Brixbi hunts them for.
Other than Brixbi, what's a memorable character that you've played in tabletop RPGs, or a amusing anecdote you have?
I mean, I love weird characters, man. Like, Brixby's a pretty weird character. I hope to get him a little bit more out there. But, my heart will always have a place for Piotr, who was my false medium. He was actually a mesmerist. He was a halfling. I like the little weird races. He had the mutant eye trait, and man, did he really lean into it. He sat people down and was like, "Oh, Piotr, we'll summon spirits." And he started knocking on the bottom of the table using false mediums kits. He had people convinced to a degree that he was some form of medium. He definitely used the cult magic. And the second scenario I got to roll him out in, there actually were a bunch of haunts. And he was ill-equipped as a mesmerist to deal with the haunts. And can't really name the scenario because I don't want to spoil it. But I certainly died once.
All right. Well, I'm sure nothing that bad will happen to Brixbi. And I'm sure Brixbi would never be so dishonest with people.
No, absolutely not. He's as honest as he is tall, Sam.
Now, as far as Brixbi goes, what would you say would be the absolute worst way for him to go when he does meet his inevitable and horrible demise on this podcast?
Well, there's a salient point in that last sentence that I disagree with. That said, my everlasting and eternal character would shudder to perish deep dark within a cave, forgotten, buried under rock, miles and miles, just no air, no light. I think that would be the worst. Or, because he's a rogue, if he died in a trap, and it would be like caught like a rat in a trap.
So what I'm hearing is when he dies, we're going to have to play Bullet with Butterfly Wings.
Yeah, I'm sure we can get licensing on that. Dude seems crazy enough these days.
Well, I hear if you only play a couple seconds of it, no one will notice. All right, one more question. What is your favorite type of dog?
Oh, man. This is a hard one because I and my partner volunteer with a dog rescue. We've only had rescue dogs, and we foster a ton of them. I currently have two, And my answer to that is super mutts, because that's what both of my dogs are. I love all types of dogs, although I deeply encourage people to adopt and not shop.
What a diplomatic answer.
I mean, I love Chihuahuas, man. My first dog, tiny, mean, fluffy little Chihuahua named Boo Boo. Yeah, I mean, right up there with Piotr. Far above Piotr, I'm kidding. Yeah, probably Chihuahuas, but all dogs are great.
Yeah, I've got 3 up above my head right now, wandering around. So as part of these little preview episodes, we're going to do a bit of a scene to sort of take Brixbi out on a test run. Give the listeners at home a chance to see a little bit of what he's about. So we're going to need everybody to hop in the imagination copter for a second, and we're going to have a transition sound effect here. 200 feet beneath the surface of Numeria, a portly young ratfolk leads a team of 4 humans through a narrow, low-ceilinged tunnel that's barely large enough for the largest of them to traverse, though Brixbi is able to scurry along without difficulty. They round a corner and come to a shaft that turns straight upwards, running 10 feet vertically. The man directly behind Brixbi stops, crawling along, and calls out, "I'm starting to think there's no end to this place, Brix. You sure there's anything down here?"
Mate, my eyes may be keen, but my nose and ears are keener. Do you smell that? Do you hear that? That's the movement of air. Keep going. Suck in your gut.
As they continue on, the tunnel with its smooth rectangular walls continues for a few dozen feet straight ahead before opening at the top of a large cylindrical room. The party pauses at the precipice, for the jump down is more than 25 feet and the walls are strangely smooth, with a sheen like they've been oiled. At the far end of the room and down at the bottom is a huge bulkhead door, a small chunk near the top of which is broken away. The lead man digs a bundle of rope out of his pack and throws one end down. "After you, Ratman."
All right, mate. Brix looks relatively serious. How about all of you put your darling hands on that rope? I'm not the lithe boy I used to be. He, shows a bit of fear as he grabs the rope and... Am I rolling a climb check here?
No, we can assume you pass at this point.
Oh, that's very, very kind of you. But, yeah, Brix casts one more parting glance up at the faces of the men eclipsed by the side of the precipice as he wiggles his way down, his large clawed back feet digging into the rock? Question mark?
It actually, once he touches it, it appears to be metal, much like the smooth sides of the tunnel they've been heading through. This is some sort of gigantic drum, or drum-shaped room anyways. And after Brixbi is safely on the bottom, the lead man follows him down, followed by another and another, only one remaining at the top as a sort of lookout. Now that they've reached the bottom, the floor is oddly concave, bending down in the center and up at the sides, and the only feature in this room, other than the smooth, oily walls, is that oversized bulkhead door with a large screw handle on it, just waiting to be turned. Well, I mean, Brixbi is already immediately excited the second his toe pads touch metal. He'll look back up at the compatriots and say, "All right, no slummoking around," and just slide down the rope as quickly as he could. When they're all on the ground, he's a bit agitated, and he gets everybody gathered because, well, I mean, there's a certain level of excitement in him that he just can't contain. "All right, mice, you stand back here. I'll do what you pay me to do." And he waddles up to the door. Right, as described, the door is probably about 9 feet tall, and there's a good-sized chunk out of it up near the top where the door should meet the frame. It looks like a hole large enough for Brixbi to get through, but probably none of the others. The door itself seems to be controlled by this large wheel that can be turned one way to open it, one way to close it. "All right, mates. Well, it looks like you could hoist me up through this hole, and I could get through. However,
I'm not quite sure if this door is even locked. I'm going to give it one cursory once-over for traps or anything that looks potentially dangerous.
Yeah, the door itself doesn't seem to be dangerous, just very, very heavy. It does appear to be vaguely electrical. There's a sort of hum to it, as if it were powered in some way.
All right, muckers. Come on over here. Grab me by the donies, right there, me feet. Hoist me through the hall.
The lead man waves for the other two to go to it, and the two henchmen walk over, and they assist in hoisting Brixbi up towards the top of the door.
All right. Don't let me hit me bunks. Come on. You know the rule. You hear me scream, you try to open this door any way that you can. But while I'm in here, don't touch anything. Serious. I don't need some half-soaked river rat being the death of me. The irony is completely lost on him in saying that. And then he just pushes his fat rat butt right through the hole.
And as he climbs through the hole, he finds himself in a much smaller room that is almost entirely taken up by a series of devices of some sort, made of what appears to be, at least in the dark, sky metal. They're covered in metal panels which are etched with tiny, tiny characters in some kind of strange language.
Oh, blotting out loud. Brix just drops the tools that he had started to bring out of his belt back into the pouch, and just sort of without examining the floor, hands stretched forward, just begins to walk towards the machinery.
As Brixbi approaches the machine, from the room behind, there's suddenly a deafening screech, followed by a series of metallic bangs. First one, and then another, and then a metallic, rusty, grinding noise. And then shouts start coming from the other side of the door. God damn it! God damn it! Ceiling's open up! What did you do, Brix? What did you do, Ratman?
I didn't do a damn thing. One of you codged it back there. Just give me a sec.
You got about a sec before we're all dead in here.
Stop mithering me. I got this. This is what I do. So Brixby's gonna continue to examine the... he would really like to pull away, and he hears the cries of danger, and he's pretty sure he can disable whatever trap is going on. He's just enraptured.
So as the shouts continue behind him, Brixbi sort of gets a sense of where he is and the controls on the large machine in front of him. And despite the characters being strange and alien, they happen to be a language that he's able to read. There are instructions here and there for what to do, and there is a panel that appears to be labeled emergency backfill.
Oh, gotcha. And he just immediately goes for the panel.
Once Brixbi manipulates the controls on that panel and sort of finds the manual override, he's able to stop all the grinding and screeching noises coming from behind him, and the red light that he probably hadn't even noticed glowing through the hole in the bulkhead door turns off, and it's all darkness again. But the screaming seems to have calmed down.
Got it! And he's already in his bag, pulling out a piece of just kind of parchment from a ragged book in the back that's loosely held there, and a piece of charcoal. And he is attempting to do a rubbing, or at least a recreation of this incredibly familiar language that he's still sort of translating and discovering the true nature of.
And while he's working this over, there's a little bit more of a kerfuffle from outside as one of them shouts, "Hey! The hell you doing in there? We gotta get out of here!"
Yeah, I just got, problems of my own. He finishes the rubbing, tucks it in a side pouch, takes a deep breath, reaches into a different pouch, grabs a small hand crossbow bolt, and while he exhales, jams it directly between his clavicle in his shoulder, not letting out more than a exhalation. Don't get yappy, mate. You're not the only one who, fell into a snare here. He'll slowly, kind of leaning into it a bit, pull himself up to the top of the door and facing the party again in the cylindrical room.
And what he sees is a room that's at least 7 feet deep with sand, and two of the men are dragging one of the other ones out. It looks like he was buried. It looks like maybe he tripped or somehow got stuck under there, and he is unresponsive. Leader of the party glares over at Brixbi as he peeks through the hole and says, "You killed Mackenzie!"
Mate, I didn't kill Mackenzie. If you weren't getting Yampy back here calling about as I told you not to do, I wouldn't have this scratch here. I'm quite sure that this is a fail-safe to whatever flummoxing about you all did in the front of this room. You're lucky that you have a dedicated professional who is willing to finish the job in the face of adversity. Are you?
And we'll call it scene there.
That was fun.
Things got a little bit tense.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I don't know.
Against the machine. Against the machine.
Hot Against the Machine is property of its creators, all rights reserved. Pathfinder and the Iron Gods Adventure Path are properties of Paizo Publishing. Please visit them at paizo.com for more information. Theme Against the Machine, written and performed by our own Zach. Please consult the show notes for additional music and sound effect licensing information. Now I have to shift back into awkward host mode as opposed to just awkward human being mode.
Channel that insecurity. That's what I do.
The important part is really leaning into the anxiety.